Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear meritorious Dhamma friends, last couple of weeks we were studying about the 37 factors of enlightenment, and today we're going to learn the phenomena meditation, part of it. Last week we studied about Nivarna, the 5 hindrances, the obstacles which comes to our life, or obstacles that stop us from developing the meditation. So even in that case, Supreme Buddha mentioned that observe them as they are. Today we're going to learn the Pancha Upadana Skandha, the 5 aggregates of clinging, and how we have to see them as we practice meditation. Supreme Buddha mentioned in the Sutta, Punaja parang bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panchasu upadana khandesu. Here, a bhikkhu contemplates on the phenomena as a phenomena in the 5 aggregates of clinging. Katancha bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panchasu upadana khandesu. And how does this bhikkhu practice developing or practice the 5 aggregates of clinging as Dhammanupassana, Phenanupassana. So, ida bhikkave bhikkhu iti rupam iti rupassa samudayo. 5 aggregates of clinging that we have learned in several Dhamma discourses, that Rupa Upadana Khanda, Vedana Upadana Khanda, Sanya Upadana Khanda, Sankhara Upadana Skandha, and Vijnana Upadana Khanda. It means the forms, Rupa, then feelings, then perception, then Sankhara, means construction of formations, and the Vijnana. What word do we use it for Vijnana?
Consciousness.
Yeah. Consciousness?
Yeah, the last one.
So, these are the 5 aggregates of clinging. And what the Buddha mentioned, these 5 aggregates of clinging is, it's called, in short, this is the suffering. So, as we learn that what the 37 factors of enlightenment does to our life, it takes us toward realization that who we are, to understanding what is the suffering, for becoming Sotapanna, to attain the stage of stream enterer, you have to realize, we have to realize that there is a suffering, there is origin of suffering, there is cessation of suffering, and path leads to cessation of suffering. And what this Upadana Khanda meditation teaches, that this is 5 aggregates that we have to look toward. It means that entire meditation of Satipatthana, from where we begin with the breathing to seeing the form entirely, this. And then we going slowly toward what? To see the suffering as it is, to see the Dhamma, what it is. That we have to understand. The purpose of 37 factors of enlightenment is to attain enlightenment. The benefits of 37 factors of enlightenment are entire only Satipatthana Suttas. What the Buddha mentioned? If someone practice for 7 years, they only have 2 results. One, they will be non-returner, or they will attain enlightenment. There is not a third one. Then Supreme Buddha reduced up to 7 days. It's very hard to do up to that, like that we talked before. We share the experience. The way we are studying, learning, but understanding them and practicing in our day-to-day life, it's very hard, very difficult. Because we bound with so many jobs, so many works and everything. We see the one thing of Dhamma and then we continuously practice. This contemplating of phenomenon as phenomenon explains us that we have to go beyond breathing meditation. The breathing meditation is just the ticket to get in to realization. Okay, so evolving from there. Okay, breathing meditation is help us to do what? To keep that, understand that this is concentrated mind. Based on that concentrated mind, you have to move forward to see this phenomenon. It's what? Either bhikkhave bhikkhu iti rupam. This is form. This is rupa. Iti rupasa samudayo. Iti rupasa atthangam. It means this is forms. Iti rupasa samudayo. The form, how it is going to become or materializing, connecting, coming to appearing in this world. Iti rupasa atthangam. How this form is dissolving, finishing. That is what you have to see about forms. So Buddha mentioned that what is this form is, what is the rupa is. Rupa is what is have created by 4 elements, the Patvi, Apo, Tejo, Maya. These 4 elements, when they come together, then this form has become. Doesn't matter, it may be internal, it's our body, or it is external. That is also. The change is what it comes. We see the appearance, we have seen the forming of bodies, forming of things. The entire world we see. Thing is that we become attached to it. And that's why it's very hard for us to realize that this is also going to finish. So when it finish, that we suffer because of it. We don't become neutral in that moment. And that's why atthangama, the finishing of it affects in us in a different way. It affects on us as a suffering. That we have to understand. What the Buddha explained here, that he realized or understand that this is form. Iti rupasa samudayo. This is becoming of forms. It's coming to arise or forming of forms. Then rupasa attangam. This is cessation or finishing, destruction, disappearance of the forms. Rupa is finishing, vanishing from there. That iti vedana, based on contact. When the contact happened with these forms, what happened? The feeling, sensation arise in our life. That iti vedana, this is the vedana, this is feeling. Iti vedana is samudaya. This is feelings appearing in our life. This, the feeling is coming to in our life. That understanding. Iti Vedanaya. This feeling has to finish. What we have to do, like Pauline said, and Catherine also described in a way that when that you are eating, that you understand what when she is eating, that she understands that this every bite it's going, it's changing forms, and until it is swallowing up that. The smell and everything, that is also all feelings. Understanding that. But when she understands that this is coming to me, but it's also with attachment. This is what we see. It's also with attachment. Atthangam is also with attachment. What happened? That is good to notice about it. It's very good to notice. The thing is that when we do that as a common person, happens that we develop the desire toward that smell, order, forms. Everything we develop that desire. Supreme Buddha has mentioned it further how to see these five aggregates of things. Then Supreme Buddha mentioned that there is iti sanya. Based on the contact, there is a sanya. Based on that, forms are based on the four elements, and then based on contact, the feeling arises. Based on contact, the sanya, the perception of things, that we understand that what it is, the colors, texture, the differences of that, we understand that. So, iti sanya is samudaya. This is recognition of this particular things are coming to form in our life. So, it is very fast this thing is happening. Like, immediately with the contact, whenever the contact happens, it does not take a second or next minute to realize that what kind of contact is. Immediately we describe that this is contact, and what the nature of this contact is. And the reaction of that, it's also immediately forms. That is called formation of this sankhara. Immediately these things happens. And based on that sankhara, based on this karma, the consciousness what we release is that acting on it. It does not take another second to realize that. Supreme Buddha says in this that understanding each and everything one by one. So it is happening very fast, but person who practice meditation has to come up to that point. Now you can understand that why the Buddha has begin with the body, to be mindful of body, to go understand every small bit of it by one, from the bigger thing, to going in the very small, like when you see from the what it called the binoculars, it's, when you see natural eyes, it's very big, simple, very small. But when you focus more and more and more and more, what happened? You see everything very close. Same way in our body also, we have to see in that way. Begin with your breathing, begin with your mindfulness, being aware of all 24/7. Then come to the feelings. You understand all this thing is happening. Then all regarding these feelings, what kind of mind is arriving in your mind, that you might become aware of that. Then you become aware that this is happening to me in this way. Because of this feeling, because of this contact, because of this form, because of this contact, this kind of sensation arises. And these sensations, this feeling is identifying in that way. This identification is forming this consciousness or creating the karma. And then understand this consciousness is repeating itself. So this consciousness has arisen, stayed, and finished. We have to be mindful of that too. That is called iti viññānasya samudayo, iti viññānasya attangamoti. That is the finishing of consciousness or disappearance of consciousness. This meditation is the hardest one to do. But if someone is able to practice these 5 aggregates of clinging as the phenomenon of phenomena, the person will completely realize that this is suffering. Because all of these things that what we have in our life is simply, it's a summary. If we say it is the Supreme Buddha mentioned, the 5 aggregates of clinging is suffering. And then what we are looking at this suffering as it is. So the realization, what it comes, it will take us to attaining the stages of enlightenment. Supreme Buddha mentioned what is this 5 aggregates of clinging is for the realization. If someone has to realize in this world that what is the suffering, they have to realize the 5 aggregates of suffering. If someone has to see the truth in this world and what they want to realize, what is the truth is, Supreme Buddha mentioned, that is the 5 aggregates of clinging. In the Khanda Sutta, then the Mahasalayatanika Sutta also, Buddha mentioned the same thing. Right? For the realization, what we have to realize, what we have to see in this world is to see the 5 aggregates of clinging. So what is the foremost thing in this meditation, what we have to do? This all the meditation practice, where it leads toward realization. Realization of what? 5 aggregates of clinging. So think of this way. When you practice meditation, what is the purpose of your meditating? To calm yourself. That is one of the benefits. To relax, to be in present moment. That is the benefits, one of benefit. But that is not the total, that is not the entire thing you can call or entire reason for the meditation. This is one, to realization of 5 aggregates of clinging. To understanding that this is happening to me. This is happening to me. This is the one, the creating and existing, finishing. That is to notice is the purpose of practicing meditation. If someone does only to be feel happy, get rid of the stress and depressions, yes, they may get it. That doesn't matter what meditation you do, always that result will be there. But when you see that yes, I'm practicing this meditation for realization, to attain the enlightenment, then they have to go to this process to understand that these are the 5 aggregates of clinging, how they are coming to be and how they are disappearing. If someone understands that, then the person has understand. Yes. Supreme Buddha mentioned in further way that all this suffering has arisen because ya rupe nanti tadupadana, because of desire toward these forms. The suffering that what is happening, that rupa, the formation is there because of desire what we have toward. That is causing suffering. Then, because of upadana, what happened? The bhava, the existence, the life as creating, not from someone else's, ours. We are creating because of desire what we have toward. Rupa. So we have to be mindful that where this meditation is leading to. Understanding the Rupa. This is the Rupa. So when you practice the Satipatthana, when you practice the meditation, be aware of that. Four great elements has come together and form this form. It is inside us also, in outside world too. Understanding that will help. Supreme Buddha mentioned in further way, when someone gets rid of desire toward these forms, tasanandi nirodha, upadana nirodha. When the desire toward these forms happens, then automatically the upadana is also finished. The bhava is never going to happen if the upadana is finished. For that, how to finish this upadana? How to see this? How to see how this? It is very hard for us to see the entire, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sanskara, and Vijnana. To see the forms, feelings, perceptions, formation, and then consciousness. Looking at them, it's very difficult. So where we can begin? Simply to begin with the one point, and then it goes a little bit further. How? Supreme Buddha mentioned, because of four great elements, this form has created. Because of contact, these feelings has arisen. Because of contact, this perception has appeared. Because of contact, this formation has appeared. And because of nama and rupa, states name and formation. Because of that, now name and the rupa, because of that, the vijnana, the consciousness has arrived. And we have to understand that this simple process, that because of four great elements, this is happening, and contact what it gives, that we have to understand that too. So in one of the suttas, Supreme Buddha mentioned that if you finish the desire toward rupa, like practicing one meditation, to which is we are attracted, attached, bound toward the rupa. If you finish that desire toward the rupa, what will happen? Slowly, you will finish the desire toward the feelings, perceptions, and that. Supreme Buddha mentioned that this all the things, the four things, that how they have appeared. He gave the example of for this as a seed. It's all five aggregates of clinging. It's mentioned about seed, that they all comes together and then they form this word. Supreme Buddha says, this consciousness arriving or keep existing because of these four things: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, and Sanskar. Chataso Vijnana Tityo. Because of these four things, this Vijnana exists. If this four thing is not there, then what will happen? The Vijnana, the rebirth, or the entire suffering will not be happening. The consciousness will not be there. So, when we have the attachment toward Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, and Sanskar, that the desire or attachment or liking it, up to the point it is happening, still there will be Vijnana, the consciousness. So, as the Supreme Buddha gave the simile, how it is, there is a seed which is very strong, it's a good one, but attached with the soil, the water, and the nurturing of the sunlight, when these all things come together, the Supreme Buddha asks, what will happen? Will it be grow? And the Bunks replies, yes, they will grow automatically. The seed will sprout and it will become a tree. Supreme Buddha said in the same way that this vijnana is also happens because of Rupa, Vedana, Sanya and Sanskara exist. It is been nurtured, it is been desired, and because of that, this consciousness happens. When the bhikkhu or when anyone get rid of this desire, what will happen? Slowly, slowly, one by one, the or vijnana or consciousness will be finished with that. So the consciousness cannot be appeared easily without desire for the rupa, without desire for vedana, without desire for perception, or without desire for formation. You know? So we have to understand that if we want to realize the enlightenment and attain that, what we have to do to get rid of desire for the rupa. And it is very, very difficult, very hard to do that. And for that, for getting rid of that desire, these 37 factors of enlightenment exist. See, why the Buddha explained that Ekaya Noyam Bhikkave Maggo Sattanam Visuddhya, why there is only one path to get rid of all the suffering. That is why, because it leads toward only one direction. And this is our life that we see, to finishing the desire for the forms will cease the existence of consciousness. And it is happened. In the Bija Sutta, Supreme Buddha has mentioned that the one by one, when you finish it, automatically you do. Supreme Buddha mentioned Riti Ajjatang Vadam Mesu Dhammanupassi Virati, by Davadam Mesu Dhammanupassi Virati. So the monk has to practice that in internal form, this is the happening. In external also, in outside world also, happening in the same way. Once we understand that, then we can understand what is the 5 aggregates of clinging is. And once you realize the 5 aggregates of clinging, it means that the purpose of meditation is complete. To attain it, for this particular realization that what is the 5 aggregates of clinging, the rest of things help to attain or realize for enlightenment. As you have known that the stream enterer is the one who is the that is the one who practice the eightfold path properly. We are all trying to come, or we are trying to walk on the path of enlightenment, but the stream enterer is the one who realized that, or who is truly completing the eightfold path. To attain up to come to that certain points, this rest of the rest of the path of 37 factors of enlightenment help us to do. So 4 we studied up to now. So 4 we studied up to now. Then now we are going to see that what the rest of things help us to do to realize these 5 aggregates of clinging. So the entire rest of the Dhamma talk, today's it will be very short. Only I want to just identify, because it's very complicated one. It's very hard to understand. So I'm not going in deep in that way. I'm just letting you know that what it is important one, you know. So from tomorrow, that we will going to learn that how this one by one, this entire meditation, how to execute in our day-to-day life, in which effort, in which realization. Once you are practicing for this meditations, you know, Kaya-anupassana, Vedana-anupassana, Chitta-anupassana, and Dhamma-anupassana, up to this point, then it will be helpful for you to go a little bit further, to develop the powers, develop the effort. This effort and the power will help you to develop the what it called the psychic powers. Then it will develop the what it called indriya. Indriya, it means give me a second. Indriya, it means what it called?
Spiritual faculties, Bhante.
Spiritual faculties. Sorry. So spiritual faculties, and then you will see the seven factors of enlightenment. In Satipatthana Sutta, Supreme Buddha has mentioned the seven factors of enlightenment, how to develop. Once you have that, you will be the stream enterer immediately. And that stream enterer person will be practicing the Eightfold Path. We see how it happens. In Satipatthana, it mentioned the seven factors of enlightenment is there. To develop that seven factors of enlightenment, you need rest of it. The indriyas, the power, the spiritual power, the faculties. These all things you need for that realization. So what I will say to you, that up to this point, what we have learned from Satipatthana, like to seeing the practicing the Kaya Anupassana, pay more attention on it, not just on the breathing meditation. Utilize breathing meditation to be concentrated. Then develop the awareness with it. All the things what you have. Don't stuck in the breathing meditation entirely. Evolve from there so you can see the different parts. Okay? Develop the form, develop the feeling meditations, the Vedana. Understand that properly. See how they are appearing, sustaining, and vanishing, finishing. Then develop the Chittanupassana, develop the mind. See the mind, how it works, what is happening, the desire. And then come to the phenomena and see clearly up to Nivarana. Once you have come to this part of called the Nivarana, it means now the rest of path has been opened for you clearly. What will happen when you attend the Nivarana part? When you practice the Nivarana, what will happen? It will do you one thing. It will give you the deeper concentrated mind. So you should not have to be practiced for hours to get that. 5 minutes if you will have, within that 5 minutes, it will be the stronger thing you have felt in a long, long time. Because the deeper meditative state is multiplied by a fastest way. One time our teacher told us that before our death, our entire life run in front of our eyes. We see everything, what we have done good, what we have done wrong, everything comes in front of eyes. So we can think at entire life, like 60 years, 80 years, 100 years of life, how can it be run? How can it be remembered within a couple of seconds? So the consciousness is that much faster. So once you see the Nivarana Bhavana, as soon as it's finished, and you become aware and conscious about that it does not exist in me, or does it exist in you, from that moment, the deeper concentration will begin. So watching the Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, and Sanskara in that faster streams will be divided in one by one. Like anyone who develop the reel or develop the field, they understand, okay, here I have to cut these forms, and then the Linda or the Ashan does the editing. So when they see completely, they identify there is an error, small things. So Bhante has repeated these things, Bhante has said that thing, and how they see, they are looking at everything, and then they're paying attention of that, and then they are taking decision to cut this part from that. Same thing we have to do when we practice meditation, and that is called practicing the 5 aggregates of clinging meditation. See, do you understand, Linda, what I say? That is.
Yes.
It's nothing more than that. It's very simple. To pay attention on your form, like this is the form that we have created, or it has been created by 4 great elements, and everything what we run toward, all the things in the breathing, feelings, perception, everything is happened based on these forms or external forms. Someone else what we are looking toward. It may be alive or dead. Doesn't matter. All the thing is that the toward that the desire, the hatred, delusion, what it appears is based on these elements what we have created. The perception also gives that chance, the understanding, the formation also happens to clarifying it, and the consciousness is one that keeps us continuing that way. So for realization of that, choose one factors up to Nivarana Dhamma, up to Nivarana, practice your meditation very strongly. The four, and then keep this fifth last one, the 5 aggregates of clinging in your mind. So getting rid of that desire, you will need the strength, and that strength we will talk tomorrow. Okay, so up to this point, that understanding for the realization of 5 aggregates of clinging, how to do that realization, how to get rid of that desire, how to finish this consciousness. The rest of the path will help us to realize that. Is that okay? Okay. So remember that it's very difficult, but it's very helpful for us, to see the purpose of meditation, and then to developing one by one path for that. Okay. So tomorrow, when we talk about the effort, the effort what we take, then we will see that for this upadana khanda, how it will affect on the upadana khanda, we will understand that. Rest of the Satipatthana Sutta, we will finish it when all the factors is finished. When we finished our sutta entirely, 37 factors, the last factor when we finished, our Satipatthana Suttas, the concentrating on phenomena will be finished. Okay, so rest of it will be leading toward that. There is ayatana also, but we do not have to see that ayatana today. It will come in the later days, the ayatana. We will see that in the different chapter. Anyone has any questions? Today's class was a little bit difficult to understand, but we have talked in long time. Yes, Linda.
Yes, sorry, Bante. I would like to ask Bante about this vipassana after Bante. To attain enlightenment, one of the ways is to contemplate these 5 aggregates of clinging. But would it be possible also, Bante, that Bante mentioned a bit about that ayatana, the sense basis?
Yes.
Is it possible also, Bante, when we contemplate on the ayatana, we will attain enlightenment as well? Like, is that
Yes.
another way of doing it?
If you have
We
noticed,
must, sorry, Bante, or we must only contemplate on the 5 aggregates of clinging?
no, Linda, both is okay. Supreme Buddha has mentioned the 16 ways to attain the Sammaditi. In the Majjhima Nikaya, there is Sammaditi Sutta. It mentions 16 different ways to see that. Okay. So one of them you follow, automatically other will be unrealized. Like, you see the nature of enlightenment one. Like, everyone who has realized the suffering, they have attained the first stage, the stream enterer. Okay, to become a stream enterer, there are certain different ways. If you just feel, the food, whatever you are eating, if you realize that, you can become a stream enter. In the Sammadeti Sutta, it mentioned. So the ayatana is also one of that part. But going directly on the ayatana, it's a little bit harder. So why I said today not we are going to talk about ayatana is that when we practice in the further practices, like when we see the developing the spiritual faculties, or tomorrow we're going to talk about the effort, So in that way, that we're going to find that ayatana is also becoming part of that. Without ayatana, without eyes, ear, nose, tongues, you cannot do these things. So these are all together gathered, and that's why I did not say, okay, we're going to focus only on these things. I said ayatana, and ultimately what happens if you do the ayatana, like you are concentrating on your eyes, in front of also what is happening, there is also the eye, the forms, and the realization of that, automatically you will see that you have a desire toward rupa. Because what eye does, it's form the rupa. What your ear does, they also form the rupa, give the realization and desire of that. So, different way, but we are looking toward the same thing. Like there is a Sumana Sutta, Supreme Buddha has mentioned. There, the Sumana, when she came and she asked that these two people who has practiced generosity, the infants, what they talk, they were monk in the previous life. One of them was practicing the meditation, did not practice generosity. Another one practiced generosity. So who practiced generosity, he born as a prince. And who does not practice generosity, he born as a servant. And they were both staying in the same room. He was staying in the golden one, and he was sleeping on just a cot, simple one cloth. What was the conversation they have? He said, both of them is impermanent. Looking at that particular thing, it is a different things. But in last, everything is the same. That's why in the Buddha explained different meditations in Satrasatipatthana. In the 4 foundation of mindfulness, Buddha mentioned different meditation techniques to come into the same conclusion. Means the problem is the same, but the solving method can be different. But result will always come equal. So if you see the 5 aggregates of clinging, or if you see the ayatana, the result is same. Ayatana we're going to talk, but in the further class. Means not in the tomorrow's one, but when we practice the faculties, when we study the faculties, then the ayatana will come here for that. Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
So when the Dhamma program was going, when you were conducting the Dhamma program, Swaminathan, there was some honking, some noise came, right? So when someone identifies that it's a horn or something, you know that it is the vijnana has already arisen.
Yes.
Right, Swaminathan? Now that's the Shabda Rupa. It's a Rupa based off the sound. So moment that comes, you have already the Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara is already been utilized.
Already been used, definitely.
It's already used, and you see the final result.
Yes.
The result will be the vijnana.
Definitely.
Right, so now it's hard to see the other 4 because it's actually covering the vijnana. The vijnana is covering all the others, but it is based on that.
That's why
created.
Buddha explained the Bija Sutta. We're going to talk about Bija Sutta in a detail also. Remember, the Bija Sutta has mentioned the same thing what you are saying, but to realizing one by one, the only forms a rupa, it is enough to see the vijnana. That happens. I was reading the Bija Sutta, and it's really beautiful to see. Shorter one, but nice. Nicely done. The thing is, when we pay attention, like I am constantly sitting in the noise because you don't have that noise. You are sitting in a quiet place. We have very thin windows and that. I don't hear all the time. So it means the paying attention on that, that is the one the result it gives. So you are sitting in the quiet place and it immediately affects on you. The consciousness, what kind of consciousness you create, it is a disruption or interrupting in our class. It's not good. Or maybe it's something, oh, complete takes your entire mind in somewhere else. That is the consciousness is released. So it happened in very faster way, only then when you pay attention on it. So isolating ourselves, like the Nivarana, what it does, it takes you in the deep concentrated mind, so you can avoid the rest of the things. So that's why it is really, really fastest thing. That's why I did not mention in lot of the deep things to do. Focus on the Rupa only. Rupa is there. It means that with the contact, all the things will happen. And result you will see. So focus on Rupa, and from there we can go a little bit further.